I got fired for stealing $800,000 from my billionaire boss in front of a room full of rich people who used to smile at me. I didn't take a single cent, and the only person who tried to save me was his 6-year-old son. If it were you, how long would that stay with you? My name is Maya Lopez, and this is how one lie in a house full of marble and money almost destroyed my life, and how a little boy, a dirty secret, and one recording flipped everything upside down. I've spent most of my life cleaning up other people's messes. Literally. Rich people's houses are funny, you know. All that glass, all that white, all that polished stone. And underneath it, the ugliest things are the ones you can't mop away. When I first started working for the Whitmores, I told myself it was just a job. Good pay. Steady hours, health insurance, a place where the fridge was always full, even if mine at home wasn't. I cleaned, I cooked, I made sure the staff areas were invisible, and the family areas looked like a magazine. Simple, at least that's what I thought. The Whitmore mansion sat up on a hill in Los Angeles, all floor-to-ceiling windows, and stone, and those tall hedges that say, "We don't even want you looking at our wealth from the street." Inside, the air always smelled like something expensive. Gardenias, citrus crystal vases, catered food, old wood, new money. I came in before sunrise most days. I wiped fingerprints off glass doors. I could never afford laid-out silverware that cost more than my rent made coffee in a machine that probably had a name and a personality. There were 4 people in that house who mattered. Richard Whitmore, my boss. Real estate tycoon. Nice enough on the surface, fast on the phone, slow to notice anything that lived below his eye level. He'd say, "Good morning, Maya. Ask about my mother once in a while. Thank me when things ran smoothly." He wasn't a monster. He was just used to gravity pulling the world toward him. Claire, his second wife. Step into a room. Light finds her. Hair perfectly rolled. Makeup like a mask dresses that never wrinkled. Smile that never quite reached her eyes. She had this way of looking at me that said, "I see you," and "Know your place," at the exact same time. Always sweet words, always a sting inside them. Ethan, their 6-year-old son. Small, quiet, solemn in a way that felt wrong on a kid. He started out hiding behind doors, watching me work. Then he started asking questions. Then he just followed me. To the pantry, to the kitchen, to the garden. The first time he called me Ma instead of Miss Maya, I pretended I didn't hear it. The second time, I didn't. And then there was Daniel Hayes, Richard's old college buddy, business partner, expensive suit, with a rehearsed laugh. The kind of guy everybody trusts for no real reason, except his watch and his smile. I'd been with them for 3 years. Long enough to know where everything went, what everyone liked. When to talk, when not to. What topics made Claire's jaw tighten. Which nights Ethan would crawl into the kitchen with a book and sit on the floor next to the oven, just to feel like someone saw him. Long enough to know staying invisible was part of the job, and survival. The night everything exploded was a charity party. You know the type. Strings. Champagne, manicured people using soft voices to talk about huge numbers. Like millions are nothing but adjectives. Staff in black and white. Laughter bouncing off marble. A string quartet tucked into a corner. The driveway full of cars that cost more than my mother's house back in Puebla. Inside that glitter, I was just the maid in a black uniform moving like a shadow. I was in the kitchen finishing some trays when Ethan came in and tugged gently on my apron. "Ma, can I stay with you?" he asked, eyes big, voice small. I glanced at the door at the room full of people in suits. "You know I have to work, sweetheart," I said, straightening his collar. "But I'm right here. I'm not going anywhere." He looked at me in that way kids do when they remember more than you think. promise you won't disappear like last time." He meant the Christmas party when Claire told me to go home early, with that soft smile that wasn't soft at all, and he found me gone without a goodbye. That one still stung. "I promise," I told him. Pattern interrupt. I had no idea that promise would be broken in less than an hour. Claire walked in like she'd been summoned by those words. Gold satin gown, diamonds, perfect hair. "Ethan," she sang. "Don't bother Ma, she's busy." "It's fine, ma'am," I said quickly, because correcting her would have been a whole different kind of problem. Claire tilted her head, gave me that polished country club smile. "You're too kind, Maya. But we both know there's a difference between family and staff, right?" She said it like a joke. It wasn't. Not long after the party hit its stride. People in designer everything. Laughter too loud. I carried drinks across the living room light, reflecting off Crystal when what I always did. See everything, say nothing. I saw Daniel arrive late looking like a magazine ad. Saw him take Claire's hand. Kiss her cheek, lean in. Close whisper. Something that made her laugh a little too long. Saw that flash between them, that tiny, charged look. Not my business. But my stomach filed it away. I never went near the study. That's important. I was in the kitchen hallway terrace living room back again in that loop. We all know when we work service. Then I heard Richard coming down the stairs. The energy in the room shifted like someone cut the music even before he spoke. "Has anyone been in my study tonight?" He called out loud, tight. Voices faded. Glasses hovered midair. Eyes turned. Claire moved to his side, hand on his arm. Concern painted perfectly across her face. "Richard, what's wrong?" "The safe," he said. "It's open. The cash is gone." Someone asked, "How much?" $800,000, he answered. And the room inhaled all at once, for the Polano deal. It was there this afternoon. 800,000. I felt it like a physical weight, even though that kind of money has never been anywhere near my hands. Claire hesitated, then did something I will never forget. She looked around like she didn't want to speak, then let her gaze land slowly on me. I saw someone leave your study," she said quietly. I didn't want to say anything, but it was Maya. I thought she was just cleaning. Every eye turned to me. My world shrank to the sound of my heart, and that many people staring. "That's not true," I said, my voice shaking. "I haven't been near the study." Claire took a breath, selling heartbreak. "Maya, please, if something happened, just tell us. Don't make this worse." Worse. Like I was already guilty. "Ethan was with me most of the night," I said quickly. "Ask him." Claire pulled Ethan closer. "Children get confused," she murmured. "Especially when they're too attached to staff." Ethan struggled. "No, Dad, she didn't do it. Maya would never. She's not like that." I looked at Richard. This was the moment. I needed him to remember every early morning, every late night, every time I'd locked up his house, every time I'd held his son when he was sick. Instead, I watched doubt flicker across his face like a shadow. "Can you explain why Claire says she saw you there?" he asked, not angry, yet just tired. "Because she's lying," I said before my fear could shut me up. Pattern interrupt. That was the wrong answer in the right house. Richard's jaw tightened. "That's enough. Until we figure this out, I need you to come with security." The guards stepped closer. My knees almost gave out, but I stayed standing. "Mr. Whitmore, please, you know me. You know I wouldn't touch your money." Silence. No one spoke. Nobody stepped forward. Ethan was sobbing, reaching for me. "Dad, don't let them take her. She didn't do anything, please." Claire folded him against her, resting a manicured hand on his hair. "Sweetheart," she said softly. "I know this is hard, but sometimes people disappoint us. That was the last thing I heard before they walked me out through that sea of expensive shoes and colder eyes. And just like that, with no proof, an lie from the right mouth rewrote my whole story. If it were you, would you have believed me or her? They didn't arrest me. There wasn't real evidence, only suggestion. But in their world, suggestion is enough to stain. They sent me home that night. No severance, no ride, no chance to explain. I went back to my tiny apartment. One room, thin walls, old fan. On the table, a picture of my daughter Lucia back in Mexico with her missing teeth and wild hair. Another picture of my mom. Two people who had no idea that my paycheck had just gone up in smoke. My phone buzzed. Hola, hija. My mom's voice came from thousands of miles away. You sound tired. Are you okay? Were you able to put money aside for my medicine? I stared at the wall, at the cracked paint, at the empty corner where groceries should be. Yes, Mama, I lied. I'll send it tomorrow. You know what I mean, right? That kind of lie you tell to keep someone else breathing, because you're already drowning. She asked about Ethan. I said he was fine. I didn't tell her that the last time I saw him, he was screaming my name while strangers dragged me out like trash. The next days were worse than that night. I started looking for work. Housekeeping, childcare, whatever I could get. A few families seemed interested. Then came the same question. Where did you work before this? The Whitmore residence, I answered. Their faces changed every time. One woman smiled thinly. Stepped aside to make a call where she thought I couldn't hear. She's the one from Richard's place, right? Yeah, that one. I see. Thank you. Then she came back with that rehearsed line. We've decided to go in a different direction. At another gate, I didn't even get through the door. Another maid passed along the message. She's not hiring. They say you stole. That's when it hit me. Claire hadn't just tried to throw me out of one house. She'd reached out and shut every other door too. Do you think that's fair? That one rich woman's whisper can erase everything you've built? I was coming home from another failed interview, shoes, rubbing the same blister, when I saw someone sitting on the front steps of my building. Small hunched backpack slipping off one shoulder. Ethan, I called out, not trusting my eyes. He looked up. His eyes were swollen from crying, his voice hoarse. Ma, he whispered. I ran to him. What are you doing here? How did you get here? I took a taxi, he said. I remembered your address from that time Dad drove you. I went cold. Ethan, your dad. He must be losing his mind. You can't just disappear like that. He doesn't care, Ethan muttered. Claire just tells me to eat and be quiet. He's never home. When did you last eat? I asked. Yesterday, he said. She made oatmeal. I didn't like it. She said if I didn't like it, I didn't have to eat. That was it. That sentence broke something in me. Come on, I said. We're getting to food. We walked to a little taco stand I went to when I could afford real food. Plastic chairs, sizzling meat limes, onions. Home in a way that mansion never was. You ever had tacos like these? I asked. His eyes stayed glued to the grill. No, he ate like no one had fed him in days. I watched him, this little rich kid who had everything, and somehow not even the basics. Why can't you come home? He asked suddenly. Because your dad and Claire think I stole, I said gently. But you didn't. I know. Then why don't they believe you? Sometimes, I said, it's easier for people to believe something ugly about someone who has less power than to question someone who has more. He frowned. Claire said people like you come and go. She said you didn't really love me. You were just nice because they paid you. That one cut all the way through. Ethan, listen to me, I said, leaning in. I love you because you're you. Do you hear me? That's it. Money or no money, job or no job. You're my kid. You've been my kid since the day you snuck into the kitchen at 6 a.m. and asking if there was any real chocolate. His eyes filled up. Then why can't you come back? Because life is not fair, I said quietly. And I hated myself for not having a better answer. Pattern interrupt sometimes, that's all you've got. No neat explanation, no fix. Just the truth sitting there like a bruise. That's when the black Mercedes pulled up so fast, the tires squealed. Richard got out wild-eyed, scanning the sidewalk until he saw Ethan. What the hell were you thinking? He yelled. grabbing his son by the shoulders. "Do you know what could have happened to you?" Ethan flinched. I stepped forward. "Mr. Whitmore," I said. "He came to me on his own. I would never." "Don't," he cut me off, eyes flashing. "Don't lie to me. You expect me to believe my 6-year-old took a taxi across the city alone?" "Dad," Ethan said, crying now. "She didn't take me. I ran away. I just wanted to see her." Richard glared at me like he wanted me to vanish. "If you come near my son again, I'll call the police." I felt every word, but I held my ground. "He was hungry," I said, "so I fed him. That's all." Ethan tugged his dad's arm, desperate. "Claire doesn't care. Dad." "She doesn't. She was laughing on the phone last night, singing this morning she's lying about everything Maya didn't steal." Richard stopped for half a second. Just a flicker. Doubt. Then he scooped Ethan up and put him in the car. Ethan pressed his hands to the window as they pulled away, yelling my name. And there I was on the sidewalk, watching the only person who believed me disappear again. But those last words stuck in my head like a splinter. "Claire's lying. Claire's lying." I started replaying everything. The timing, the tears knowing the exact amount missing, her eagerness to point at me, Daniel arriving like a cue, the way my name suddenly turned toxic in every rich neighborhood. That's when fear started turning into something sharper. I didn't know how yet, but I knew this wasn't over. 3 days later, my phone rang. It was Richard. "Maya," he said, while stiff. "Ethan isn't eating. He's having nightmares. He's not himself. I will be in San Diego for work for a week and he needs stability. I'd like you to come back temporarily. You'd be under Claire's supervision. You'd focus on Ethan. Not I'm sorry, not I was wrong, not yet. But it was a door. I took it. Walking back into that mansion felt like stepping onto a battlefield alone. Ethan ran at me full force, hugging me so hard I could barely breathe. "You came back," he whispered. "I told you," I said. "I don't disappear." From the landing above us, Claire watched, hands on the rail, not smiling with her eyes. When Richard left for the airport, he kissed Claire's cheek, hugged. Ethan gave me a polite nod, like I was a contractor. "I'll be back Friday," he said. "Let's all keep this calm." His car rolled away. Claire came down the stairs. Her heels clicked sharp on the marble. "I need you to understand something," she said in that cool voice. "You are only here because my husband feels guilty, not because I trust you, not because your name is cleared. So here are the rules." She pointed at my purse. "That stays right here in the entry. You won't be carrying anything through the house. You do not go near the study. You do not answer the house phone. If it rings, you come find me. You follow the schedule I wrote for Ethan. No extra stories, no extra time." I nodded. "Yes, ma'am." Her smile returned thin. "Good. Follow the rules, and we won't have a problem." Translation: the problem is you. The next days were something out of a psychological thriller. Wherever I turned, she was there, reading a book while I cleaned, scrolling her phone while I cooked, standing a little too close, making little notes, staging little scenes. Ethan felt it too. "Why is she always watching you?" he whispered once. "Some people just like control," I said, cracking eggs. "She says it's to keep everything perfect," he muttered. "But it doesn't feel perfect." One night as I walked down the hallway, I heard her voice from the living room. Sharp. Low. "No, he has no idea," she said into the phone. "He thinks I'm the one holding everything together. I said I'll take care of her. Don't call this number again, Daniel." I froze behind the wall. "Daniel, stick around because what happened next will blow your mind." 2 mornings later, she called me into the foyer, holding up a $50 bill. "We're missing 50 from the petty cash in the kitchen," she said. "Would you know anything about that?" "That's mine," I said. I had it in my pocket. Her eyes darkened. "How convenient. The exact amount. It's a coincidence." "I don't believe in coincidences." Ethan stood on the stairs watching. "Maya," he asked quietly. "Did you take it?" "Right there." That hurt more than all the accusations from adults. "No, Ethan," I said. "I didn't." Claire sighed loudly. Against my better judgment, I'll let this go. But from now on, there will be tighter rules. She didn't just want me gone. She wanted Ethan to doubt me, too. By Friday, I felt like I was under a microscope. I was cleaning the master bedroom when I emptied the trash, and a folded paper slipped out. It was a bank statement. Claire's name, transactions to online gambling sites, late-night ATM withdrawals, negative balance, deep in red. Before I could put it back, I heard her behind me. "What do you think you're doing?" "It fell out," I said. "I was just—" She snatched it from my hand, eyes blazing now, no pretty smile. "You went through my private documents." "I didn't. Enough," she snapped, voice rising just as Ethan and then Daniel appeared at the doorway, like she'd staged the whole thing. "This is who she is. Snooping. Scheming. I want you out of my house. Now." Daniel folded his arms. "Might be best if you leave Maya before this turns into something legal." I looked at their faces and saw it clearly. This wasn't panic, this was protection. Not of their home, of their secret. I crouched by Ethan. "Take care of yourself, okay?" I whispered. Claire yanked him close. "Don't worry, honey. I'll keep you safe. She won't be hurting us again." The door shut behind me like a final sentence, but I heard her voice through the heavy wood stripped of sugar now. "It's almost done, Daniel," she said. "One more step." That's when everything snapped into focus. The missing cash, her tears, Daniel, the gambling debt, bringing me back just to throw me out again. I wasn't the target, I was the cover. 2 days passed. The house was tense. Ethan stopped talking much. Claire's patience wore thin. One morning she tried to force a conversation. "You have been very rude lately," she told him. "Your father would be disappointed." He stared at her. "He'd be more disappointed if he knew you were lying." "Excuse me," she said. "I heard you," he whispered. "You and Daniel. You said Maya was getting too close. You said you had to finish it." Her face went pale, then cold. "You misunderstood." "No," he said. "You're the one lying." She grabbed his arm. "If you repeat that to anyone, no one will believe you. Do you understand me?" He pulled away. "We'll see." That night, Ethan waited until the whole house was quiet. He took his tablet, turned on the voice recorder, and crept into the hallway. Downstairs, just like clockwork, Claire's voice floated up. "Yes, Daniel, it goes through tomorrow morning," she said. "Relax. Richard thinks I'm visiting my sister. By the time he notices, we'll be gone. Just like with the safe money." She laughed. Ethan caught every word. That was the twist. A 6-year-old did what none of the adults did. He stopped trusting the performance and listened to the pattern. The next morning, Claire rolled 2 suitcases to the foyer. Casual clothes, sunglasses, rehearsed smile. "I'm going to see my sister," she told Richard. Daniel's car pulled up. "Coincidence?" "Sure." Richard nodded, distracted, heading to his office. Then his phone rang. "Mr. Whitmore, this is First American Bank calling to verify an $800,000 wire transfer to Daniel Hayes last night." He stopped breathing. "I didn't authorize any transfer. It was processed through your credentials," they said. Only 2 people had those. He hung up, grabbed his keys, and drove home. Like the world suddenly made sense in the worst possible way. He burst inside. Ethan was waiting, tablet in hand. "Dad," he said, "you have to listen. It's about Claire." "I don't have time. There was a transfer Dad. Please." Something in his son's eyes made him stop. Ethan hit play. He heard his wife's voice. Daniel's name. The plan. The reference to "just like with the safe." In that moment, every doubt, every sign, every fake tear lined up. "You're telling me the truth," Richard whispered. "I'm so sorry I didn't listen earlier." He called 911. "This is Richard Whitmore," he said. "I need to report a theft and stop 2 people from fleeing the country." At the airport, Claire and Daniel stood near their gate. Tickets in hand, sunglasses on. Future planned. 2 officers approached. "Claire Whitmore, Daniel Hayes. You need to come with us." Richard and Ethan stepped forward. No tuxedo, no party. Just truth. Daniel started yelling about mistakes. Claire tried to spin some last-minute story about being framed. Richard cut her off. "We have the recording. The bank has the transfer. It's over. Claire turned to Ethan, desperate. Sweetheart, you don't understand. She manipulated you, that maid. She turned you against me. I did this for us. Ethan shook his head, tears in his eyes, but his voice solid. Maya never lied. You did. They put handcuffs on her. On Daniel. Walked them away like all the people I've watched get walked away in uniforms and cheap shoes, except this time it was designer heels and a tailored suit. Pattern, interrupt, funny how crime looks different when it's wearing silk. A few hours later, when the police reports started, when the wire was confirmed fraudulent, when Claire and Daniel were officially what they tried to make me. Richard did something I didn't expect. He came to my apartment. He stood there in the hallway looking smaller than I'd ever seen him. Maya, he said. I've been a coward. I let my money, my circle, my own wife convince me that the easiest answer was the true one. I let them ruin your name. Claire and Daniel framed you. I am so sorry. Ethan ran to me, hugging me, like he never got the chance to that night. You didn't do it, Ma, he cried. I told him. He finally listened. I hugged that boy like I was anchoring both of us. I know, sweetheart, I know you did. Richard looked around my tiny place. The chipped walls, the photo of Lucia, the difference between what I'd cleaned and what I lived in. Something broke in him. I want to fix this, he said, publicly, in front of the same people who watched you get dragged away. And, if you'll let us, I want you back in our lives, not as someone we order around, as someone we owe, as someone whose family. It would be so clean to say I slammed the door right, to say I walked away from his guilt and his money. But real life isn't that clean. I thought about Ethan, about my mom, about my daughter, about how rare it is for powerful people to look you in the eye and say I was wrong, with nothing to gain from it except discomfort. All right, I said, but we do it right. A few days later, there was a gathering at the Whitmore house. Neighbors, business people, some of the same ones, who watched me go out in shame. Richard stood there with a microphone. I stood beside him, Ethan's hand in mine. I made a grave mistake, he told them. My wife and my partner stole from me and framed an innocent woman. That woman is Maya Lopez. She took care of my son, my home, my life, and I chose to doubt her instead of question the people standing next to me. I want you all to know she is innocent, and I am not. They shifted, looked away, cleared throats. The whole show. He turned to me. I'm sorry, he said. I took a breath. I accept your apology, I said. But this isn't just about me. It's about what happens when someone with money points at someone without it. None of you asked if the story made sense. You just believed the easiest version. That's how people like me lose everything without touching a dollar. Silence. Ethan tugged me gently. Tell them what you tell me, he whispered. Truth doesn't need anyone's permission, I said. It's just waiting for someone brave enough to stop lying. This time, some of them actually clapped. Maybe guilt. Maybe respect. Maybe both. Yeah, that happened. Weeks passed and the house changed. Not magically, not overnight, but it changed. I had my own room now. No more hidden maid quarters. Ethan and I cooked together. Sometimes Richard joined, awkward at first, learning how to boil pasta without burning it, how to listen more than talk, how to say thank you, like he meant it. One afternoon, we were on our knees in the backyard, fingers in the dirt planting seeds. Sunflowers, Ethan said. So there's always something bright. He looked up at me after a long, quiet moment. Maya, can I ask you something big? Always, I said. My friend calls his nanny Mama. My other friend calls his aunt, who takes care of him, Mom Tia. Can I call you Mom Maya? My throat closed up. Only if that's really how you feel, I said. Not because you think I want to hear it. He shook his head. It's how I feel. You're my mom. I pulled him close, tears hot. "Then I'll be her," I whispered, "for as long as you want me." From the window I could feel Richard watching, not threatened, not jealous, just grateful. That night, as I tucked Ethan in, he asked, "Do you think the house feels different?" "It finally feels like a home," I said. "Because of you," he murmured. "Because of us," I corrected him. "So here's where I turn it to you. In this story, the maid didn't steal. The wife did, the partner did, the rich were the thieves, and the poor woman was the scapegoat. And it took a 6-year-old boy with a tablet to make anyone care about the truth. How many times do you think this happens in real life, in quieter rooms, without recordings, where the maid, the janitor, the line cook, the driver, the cashier, the immigrant doesn't get a video, doesn't get a second chance, doesn't get a billionaire showing up to say, 'My bad'? If you'd been in that room the night they pointed at me, which story would you have believed? Honestly, the billionaire's wife with the perfect hair, or the maid from across the border who sends half her money home? Do you think it's fair how fast people decide who looks like a thief and who looks like a victim? And when you see it happen in your world, do you step in, or do you sip your drink and pretend it's not your problem? I want you to tell me in the comments. Would you have gone back to that house if you were me, or would you have walked away? Do you think Richard deserves forgiveness? Or is he just another rich man sorry because he got embarrassed? What about Ethan? Is it right that a child had to fix what adults broke? Drop your thoughts below. Argue with me. Agree with me. Share if you've seen something like this, or if you've lived it from either side of the door. Hit like if you think stories like this need to be heard. Subscribe if you want more than just fairy tales. And if you've ever been judged by your uniform, your accent, or your paycheck, I want to hear your story. Next. I'm Maya. They tried to paint me as a thief. Turns out the only thing I stole was their last excuse.